All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Live Wire. I am your host, Jared Moore, and as usual, we will be taking your questions from the chat. On tonight's program, we're going to be talking about Keepers of the Land, which is an art exhibit that's going to be part of the Sovereign Santa Fe Art Expo organized by Fahrenheit Fine Art. And the curator of that exhibit is Carly Treece. She is a Mvskoke artist and curator. You might remember her from in April of this year. We published a video on an art exhibition that was done in downtown Tulsa in collaboration with TU, and she was a co-curator of that. That was called Work of Sovereignty. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Ms. Treece.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess to start off with, could you talk a little bit about what is Keepers of the Land and the Santa Fe, Sovereign Santa Fe Art Expo, kind of like if somebody doesn't know anything about it at all?
So the Sovereign Santa Fe Art Expo is a large contemporary Native American art. It coincides with the Santa Fe Indian Market, and usually it's just the Sovereign exhibit, but this year there's 4 different exhibits inside of it, and Keepers of the Land is one of them.
And with this exhibit, this is at the La Fonda on the Plaza in the Lumpkins Ballroom. Are
Yes.
you familiar with that area? What's that going to kind of like? What is that area like for people who haven't ever been there?
So it's pretty busy because it's right inside of the market and everything. So it's really beautiful. You might have to walk a little ways if you haven't been. That hotel is just amazing, and the Sovereign exhibit and all of those artists are so talented. It is some of the most amazing art you'll ever see.
And if you're watching this and you want to get more information, or maybe you want to, is there tickets on this? Would people need to buy tickets, or is
Nope,
it just open to
it's free. And 2 of the exhibits are from Oklahoma. So
Okay.
the other 2 are New Mexico, I believe.
Okay. Well, there's a link in the description of this video to the event page for that, and also a Facebook page for it if you guys want to check that out. So, Keepers of the Land, what's the theme with that? Is there a theme, or how are the pieces connected there?
Well, so I have it pulled up and I can read the description.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Keepers of the Land is a collaborative exhibit featuring contemporary Native American artists from Oklahoma. This exhibit explores the rich and deep-rooted connection between Indigenous people and the lands we live upon. As the original inhabitants and caretakers of these lands, the artists offer their unique interpretations of what it means to be a keeper of the land. This exhibit incorporates the spiritual, physical, and emotional connection between the land between past, present, and future generations. Through a diverse range of mediums, the exhibit explores themes of Indigenous preservation and conservation, celebrating the ancestral heritage and responsibility that comes with being a keeper of the land. This exhibit highlights the profound relationship between the land and Indigenous people and invites viewers to join in the shared responsibility of preserving our world for the benefit of all. Keepers of the Land encompasses the beauty and power of Indigenous art and culture as we celebrate our connection to the earth and with each other.
Okay, awesome. And I want to remind you guys, if you have any questions, just pop them into the chat. So do you want to name drop any artists that are going to be in this exhibit? You know, like, I don't know if you can you do that, or?
I can, yeah. I have a page up if you want to follow my page. It's Keepers of the Land Exhibit. And that has all the artists, has examples of their work. It's on Instagram and Facebook. And then also my Instagram and Facebook is Tulsi Studios, the Mvskoke spelling, TVLSE Studios. And I have information that I'll update on there as well. But so Shane Brown, who is one of the, he's the still photographer for Reservation Dogs.
Oh, wow.
He's going to have work in it. I'll have work in it. Some of the artists from the Work of Sovereignty, Haley Gallegos, she'll have work in it. Dan Rocky, who is another Mvskoke artist. Brittany Postoke, who is another Mvskoke artist. Chris and Jeremy Thompson and Walela Knight. Chris and Jeremy do the shoes that you've seen, like the Reservation Dog shoes and just the different cool shoes that you've seen. And then Walela beaded some of the shoes. So Jesse Haas, Lisa Rutherford, Sam Regan, Jamie Meisenheimer, Dean Wyatt, and I think that's it.
And if you guys are watching this and you want to see some images of some of these works, the Facebook link that's in the description of this video has a link to a slideshow that has some of this stuff in there. And are some of these pieces, are they going to be carryovers from Work of Sovereignty? Is that what you were saying?
A few of the pieces, yes.
Okay. So if you want to check that video that we have on our YouTube channel for Work of Sovereignty, you can get a look at some of those other pieces too. So I guess my next question would be, we should mention, if you guys are in the Santa Fe area and you want to catch this show, it's Friday, August 18th through Sunday, the 20th, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day. So you guys can swing down there, go to La Fonda on the Plaza in the Lumpkins Ballroom and check out this show. So what was it like? I know we talked when you did Work of Sovereignty about how that happened and how it got organized. How did this happen for you? Was this something where you were the major weight carrier and you had to do everything, or is it like you jumped in? What was that process like for you?
So I have organized everything. I am transporting all of the artwork. I went to the artists and asked them to be a part of it. So I've done everything for that part, for the Keepers of the Land part, to be in the Sovereign show.
Were you approached by the Sovereign Santa Fe Art Expo, or did you go to them and say, hey, I can do this show?
They asked me if I wanted to curate a show within the show.
Awesome. So what's in the future for you? Do you have another exhibition coming up, or are you like in the planning stages? Are you just taking a break?
So I'll have another exhibition in October at Positive Spaces in Tulsa, and it is a gallery for women. So the exhibit will be all BIPOC women and Two-Spirit artists.
Cool.
And then I'll also be at Cherokee Art Market with the Southeastern Indian Arts Association. And so that's the only things that I have this year.
If there's an artist that's watching this and they want to get involved in one of these exhibitions or a future exhibition with you, how could they do that?
Reach out to me on Facebook. You can email me. I have a website. It's tulsystudios.com. There's a contact form on there. I think my email is on there. Reach out to me and let's talk. I would love to meet other artists.
Awesome. So for this upcoming show in October, are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be showing in that show?
I will have one or two pieces.
Okay. Are they going to be? Are you something that you're going to make for that show, or is it going to be something that you already have?
Something that I've made. Something that I'm making.
Oh, okay, awesome. So nobody will have seen it before this show, right?
Right. Yeah, it'll be brand new.
Okay. And is that something where people will need to get a ticket, or is it an open gallery?
It'll be an open gallery, and the first night we will also have a fashion show with Burning Wagon Designs. They're an Osage woman-owned design company here in Osage Nation, and then we will also have a film about one of Choctaw Nation's missing and murdered women, Emily Morgan. And so it's going to kind of tell her story.
Well, that's very interesting. Do you know how long that film is going to be? Is it a short film or?
It'll be a short film.
Okay. Well, that's great. I'm so happy to see that you're, continuing on and doing more exhibitions, and it seems like they're getting bigger and bigger as you go along. What would you say to somebody out there who's maybe an artist and they don't know where to start with exhibiting their work? If they're a native artist, how could they get their feet wet or just jump off and go? Because I know that's a problem for a lot of natives. They're like, they do art on their own, but then they don't know how to get started with an exhibition or who to approach or how to do any of those things. What would you suggest to them?
So I would suggest reaching out and starting with like group shows and putting 1 to 2 pieces and meeting people in the group shows, maybe joining an art organization. I'm in the Southeastern Indian Arts, and they're really good. They put out information about exhibitions coming up that you can be a part of. It's a really great group of people to meet. And just going to those also, and talking to the artists. Going into group exhibitions.
As somebody who is organizing and curating exhibitions that focus on Native art and Native topics, what do you think are the I want to say like the hot button or the very important topics that you're seeing a lot of artists do base their work around?
So a lot of my work is on land sovereignty. So a lot of you'll see abstract landscapes, and they're native landscapes, and they have themes about the connection to the land. And then I see a lot of others that do a lot of ancient symbols that mean things to the tribes. They'll take just different meanings, even if it's abstract art, and incorporate that into the meaning of their piece. I think like that. The other exhibit that's going to be up at Sovereign is Collective Wisdom, and that is like a multimedia with several artists that work on one piece together. And a lot of those artists use like the Southeastern symbols, because I think it's a lot of Southeastern artists. So I see a lot of the symbols and things like that.
I see. So what do you think the future of these exhibitions? You have some stuff coming up in the fall, like we talked about. Do you have any further flung plans for like next year or anything? Or do you have any hopes or dreams for next year?
I have hopes and dreams for next year. I'm not quite sure what they are just yet, but I think maybe after this busy season, I will figure those out a little bit more.
Have you spoken to anybody at the Creek Nation, at the gallery spaces that they have, like the Red Stick Gallery and other stuff, about having an exhibition?
I have not, but I would love to. And I have to make a trip to Okmulgee this week, so I might stop in and talk to someone.
Absolutely. And if you want to swing by Mvskoke Media Studios, I can try to point you in the direction to somebody at the Nation that you could talk to about maybe organizing one of those. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would love that.
I don't see any questions popping up in the chat. If you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and post them in there. Is there anything about this exhibit that we haven't talked about that you think is important to mention?
Nothing. I mean, there's 13 artists and we're from 5 different tribes. I think that's notable.
Are they all Southeastern tribes, or is it spread out all over?
It's a little bit spread out. I think most of them are Southeastern tribes, and then there's some Osage as well, and Comanche.
I wanted to ask you another question too, because we normally have a commenter that comes into our chat and he asks this question a lot from different people. But what's your opinion about state recognized tribes, or people, like the state of the regulations right now as far as people who don't have citizenship, but they have maybe citizenship in one of these state recognized tribes? Does there need to be more protections for that, or is it working the way that it should? Just from your perspective as a curator.
So that is a tough question.
Sorry about that.
There's a lot of layers that go into that.
Mm-hmm. Is that something that's even discussed? Like when these types of things are set up at the Santa Fe Sovereign Santa Fe Art Expo, are they telling people, like you need to present your membership card or your citizenship card or something like that, or is it just is it something that's taken for granted?
Not that I know of. I know all of the artists in my exhibit have federally recognized citizenship cards. Mm-hmm. And I know that there are some exhibits, like in some places, that allow state recognized tribes. That is a tough topic because there's just so much that goes into it. Mm-hmm. I feel more comfortable with federally recognized citizens, I guess, because some of the state recognized tribes are false tribes. They're not actually indigenous people, but they have formed, I think they form like 501c3s and become a tribe or something. Yes. So that's above my pay grade. To comment on that.
Well, as a native artist, do you think that's something that should be regulated as far as when you go in and you're having an exhibit and your work is showing in the exhibit and it's a native exhibit and the theme is all about indigenous themes and indigenous experience, and you have somebody that doesn't have that federal recognition, do you feel like they're unfairly trying to get in there to compete there? Or is it something where it's like, I'm not really going to make a determination on what somebody else does?
Sometimes I think it's unfair, but then sometimes we have people that truly aren't recognized, like our Friedman. So it's a topic with a lot of different layers. And you have to take that into account whenever you're dealing with people, I guess, and look at each individual. If it's like one of these 501c3 tribes, I think that's problematic. But there are people that are our relatives that came over here with us on the trail, and they're not recognized. And so those are things that you also have to take into account.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sorry for that. That's a little bit of a heavy question at the back end of the interview. But that is something that we normally have a commenter, T.Y. Pearl. He'll come into our chat and he'll ask everybody about that. Do you think those regulations need to be updated? Are they okay? And so on and so forth. So
that's a tough question. It
is. It's a difficult situation too, because as an artist, you a lot of times feel like I'm just producing my work and I'm exhibiting it, and I don't want to go out and have to police what the other artists are doing or who they are or whatever. You can look at their work and you can look at my work and everybody's happy, right? But there are federal regulations on this stuff, is the other turn of the key. And that's one of the things that I've always been fascinated with about that topic is, is that checked or anything? Because I've never seen, some situations it is, like if you have a designated Indian art market that's going to be like a closed door affair where you go in and you have to have a card, you have to present that to the exhibitors and say, to even get a booth there, but it's predominantly like for selling under that Indian art moniker, right?
So I know that's how Cherokee Art Market is, and Mvskoke Art Market, and a lot of the art markets. But I know that there's some places that don't require that. And like the Southeastern Indian Arts Association that I'm a part of, I think that they allow anyone to join, but for specific things you have to present your citizenship card and be a citizen of a federally recognized tribe. So that there's just a lot of layers that go into that.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a great interview. Is there any information we talked about when this is going to happen and where it's going to happen and what it comprises of? Is there anything else that you want to squeeze in before we wrap?
If you want to help support, go to my website, and I've got plenty of merch on there.
What is your website? Because I don't have a link to that, but I could stick it in the description after the fact.
So it's tulsestudios.com, and that's the Mvskoke spelling TVLSE.
Okay. And are you still based out of Tulsa? Is that your stomping grounds there?
Yeah.
All right.
I was born and raised, and
do you want to shout out anybody that you're related to, any community members you want to say hi to before we get out of here?
Hi, Mom. Hi to my brothers and sisters, cousins, friends, everyone.
We actually had a question pop up here. Here's the question. Let me see. I'm curious about Two-Spirit display in the exhibit. Were there any traditional Two-Spirit roles in the Mvskoke tribe, and do you think there may ever be artwork / display in such an exhibit?
I think there will be artwork and display. From my knowledge and what I've asked, that there's not like a word for Two-Spirit in the Mvskoke language. And so I don't know any specifics on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I welcome all Two-Spirit artists, and you're welcome in my exhibits, and you're welcome wherever I am.
Awesome. And I'm going to echo that same sentiment. I myself am not personally familiar with if there is a word for Two-Spirit in Mvskoke, or what the cultural connotations is, other than I don't know, maybe the Medicine Twins or something. I know that's a theme in there, but I don't think that has anything to do with Two-Spirit. So that question came from TR4NTZ. I don't know how you pronounce that, so but that's how it's spelled. So, well, with that being said, we're at 21 minutes, so I think we covered all the bases. I want to thank you so much for being on the program, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future for your next exhibit. In fact, that exhibit you were talking about for the BIPOC ladies exhibit in Tulsa,
Yes.
shoot me an email when the dates are set for that and everything, because I'd love to go and see if I could do a walkthrough on that exhibit and do a little story on that too for everybody.
Yeah, I would love that.
Awesome. Well, Mado for being on the program. Mado to you guys for watching the program. For next week, or for Friday on the 11th, we have Tim Goodvoice, the principal chief candidate, who is going to be doing his Meet the Candidate video. That is going to happen at 6 p.m. So if you guys want to tune in and ask your question of Tim Goodvoice, jump on in there and we'll ask the questions. Next week is crazy. On Monday, we have a live wire for National Endowment of Humanities grants to study the boarding school issue and the history of boarding schools, and each grant is $30,000. So we're going to have a representative from the National Endowment of the Arts, or National Endowment for the Humanities, on the program to answer any questions you may have about those grants. Chief Hill does his Meet the Candidate on the 15th at 6 p.m. Robin Whitecloud, who is a candidate for the Okmulgee District seat, does her Meet the Candidate at 6 p.m. on the 16th. The 17th is Dodie McIntosh. She is a candidate for the Creek District. And then on the 18th is Lahoma Schultz. She is a candidate for Principal Chief, and her Meet the Candidate is at 6 p.m. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but Dodie's is at 7 p.m. So next week is stacked every day. We're going to have a live stream. So you guys tune in and ask your questions. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Chihichath, Lees.